Welcome back to Benny's Custom Works, proudly supported by Sparesbox. Today we're back on the Falcon. I know you guys watching mods as much as we love doing it, but today's maintenance day. Today we've got some Super Pro control arms and some sway bar links. This thing's had a noisy front end for a little while, probably longer than I'd like to admit. It actually gets really noisy in the rain and goes away after a couple of days, so to me that tells me that the ball joints and some of the other pivots probably have split boots, and then that means that corrosion is happening, but after a few days it wears off and it goes back to normal. So what we're going to do today is change the lower control arms and also the sway bar links for the front, and also break down as to why we're doing what we're doing. So let's get into it. First we'll go straight up, rip some wheels off, and then we'll pull the old arms out and do a bit of a side-by-side. In before getting flamed using a ratchet to undo stuff. It's pretty snazzy the way they've done that. Like, you can tell there was obviously a lot of European influence by the time FG came around. Like, this is very BMW, Mercedes, but even Holden, I guess, were doing this by VEVF with all the 17 arms to make one thing do. It was a very, very popular, I guess even to this day, they still use a lot of this multi-link front arm gear now. Good chat, glad we had it. Can't wait for the next one. That never happens. Spiky. Don't use your hand as a hammer. As he hammers with a hand hammer. These bushes are the noisy ones. We've gotten all of our arms out of the car. A lot of people may or may not be familiar with FG control arms. These all have press fit ball joints that aren't serviceable or replaceable by themselves. So the only way to do that is to actually replace the whole arm. The thing I like about the Super Pro arms though is that they come with more heavy duty bushes. A lot of the time the rubber ones flog out. I've just noticed at the front, the caster rods, I guess you'd call them, the bushes on both of those are pretty badly flogged out. And also the shock mount bushes on the lower control arms are fairly worn. So these arms already come pre-assembled. We've literally just pulled these out of the bag. So they've already got all the good Super Pro bushes fitted up as opposed to standard rubber bushes. The only trade-off with these solid type bushes is you can see a little bit more NVH or vibrational noise in the cabin. But to me, I think that's much better than having all these rubber bushes which do chop out and wear. So, I mean, these have done quite a lot of Ks, but I'm pretty confident they're not the original arms. Like, all this stuff's been apart before. I've noticed some mismatched stuff left to right. So, yeah, pretty confident that at least some of these arms aren't original. But, yeah, we're going to jump in and whack these in. Also, if you guys want to see exactly what parts we've used today, including all the part numbers, we've got a link in the description below, which takes you straight to our Sparesbox site, so you can check it out there. But we're going to throw these straight back in and get into it. All the zaps. A handy tip when you're doing any suspension or bush replacement, before you go tightening everything up, make sure that you've got the suspension that you're working on loaded and as close to ride height as possible when you go tightening any bolts that have got bushes. Ball joints and stuff like that, it's really not crucial to tighten them at the ride height. But anything that's got a bush or anything that's got a limited range of movement, it's definitely worth tightening that up when you're at your correct ride height, or at least somewhat loaded. So if you look left to right, you can see that this control arm is considerably higher than the passenger side one. So this is somewhat at ride height in comparison to at full droop with no weight on it and no compression. So that'll basically mean that the suspension bushes are operating with the correct amount of preload at ride height rather than being super bound up and potentially causing them to fail early. So yeah, just make sure when you're doing anything up that's a bush, do it at ride height. Well, that's us done for the day. It's short and simple, just got those arms in, and that's going to fix up our front end. We found heaps of flogged bushes in those old arms, so should tighten the front end up. We do need to go and get a wheel alignment, because anytime you do suspension and stuff, things are going to move enough that it will affect the alignment. So highly recommend getting alignment anytime you're playing around with anything. Thanks as always to Sparesbox for the continued support with the channel. Thanks also to our Patreons. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon, we've got a link in the comments, check that out. Also, if you're not keen on Patreons, but you want some merch, check out our link in the description also. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time. Oh, damn. My elbow!